Hi, everybody. This is Gina with Jinichi Studios, and I am here interviewing another one of our participants for the Emerge photo shoot contest, brand photo shoot contest, that is, and that I posted in January. And we have one more week. Voting is still in process, so I am interviewing all of the participants to get the word out and get more outreach. So, welcome, Shasta. It's so nice to meet you. Well, I actually know Shasta personally. We've done a little bit of work together, not as in photography. Well, we did do a headshot of you, but we have worked on other things with her other brands. And so I'm excited that she has a new program to help parents homeschool their kids in 2 hours or less. And so I'd love to introduce you to Shasta. Shasta, say hello and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name's Shasta Palmer, and I'm starting a course creation for the 2 hour homeschooler to help parents homeschool in 2 hours or less with the standard aligned secular type curriculum. So it's still all very new, but that's the process I'm trying to go through right now is to actually set up the course and create content for it.
And this is under your business, Bullet Point Books?
So the business name, I have Bullet Point Books, which is the publisher, and then right now the actual course and everything will be under my name. So just under Shasta Palmer. That's
Oh,
what you can find me under
gotcha.
on Facebook. I'm working on an Instagram for Shasta Palmer, which that one's going to either have to be the Shasta Palmer or Miss Shasta Palmer because I guess my name is already taken. But on Facebook, it's just under Shasta Palmer. I have the headshot Gina did for me on there right now because that's the best photo I have, right? um, so that's where it's at. And then eventually there'll be a website that actually has the course for sale that's the 2 hour homeschooler on it, which was why I was so excited about your branding contest because I need
Nice.
pictures for this 2 hour
Yay.
homeschooler site, right?
Yeah. So what motivated you to develop this service, this product to help
Well,
kids?
I love teaching different subjects that people are interested in learning about. And I had a couple of people mention, well, you've successfully homeschooled now. I've done homeschooling for 8 years. I was homeschooled. And then I went to Cal Poly to get my master's and then went back to homeschooling my kids. They absolutely love it. And I had lots of people ask, well, how do you do it in the shortest amount of time? Because that's my main focus is trying to meet all the standards. So if they want to go to public school, they can. They can say, yeah, okay, I'm going this year and I know they're caught up. So that was the goal of the course. People said, well, we would like to learn how to do this. And I said, okay, I'm looking to start a business that I feel like I have something I can contribute and help people with. And that is my main area of expertise these days.
That's awesome. That's great. Are there any potential partnerships or collaborations in the pipeline with
Not
this business?
not yet. I do want to actually write my own curriculum, which I've been looking for the right fit because it would have to be a time and royalties thing at the beginning, right?
Mhm.
But I have an outline of what I want written. If I found the right person that wanted to collaborate on the curriculum side of it, most certainly that would be an opportunity to pursue later on. But at the moment, I'm just doing the course creation side of it and trying to develop the content and the messages and all of that initial fun phase there, coming up with the names and how to make it as useful as possible in the shortest amount of time for everybody. I mean, everyone's so busy that it needs to be concise.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what are the biggest challenges that your brand has currently faced so far? I know that this is still all in development, but like what are the challenges and what are the like economic impacts that have been faced with your business?
Right. Well, that the startup phase, trying to come up with just the monthly fees for all the little things, your Google Workspace, your website, the domain, and it pretty soon the Canvas subscriptions and everything
Mhm.
just adds up to the point that there's large monthly expenditures, and yet you still have to develop all the content and come up with the time to do it. And of course, to make it look professional, which is what people expect out of a course, you really need good photography.
Mhm.
which is what caught my eye about your contest. I was like, oh wow, if I could,
Yeah.
if that would work, that would basically set up that whole initial phase. Because otherwise, the current choices until it starts bringing money in would just be to do my best, which is never as good or professional looking as having somebody that knows what they're doing do all of
Well,
those setup photos.
yeah, and besides, the storytelling part of how it works, you're showing kids learning, and you could use that for all kinds of marketing, not just a website or even the product. You could use it for social media and all kinds of things. So that would
Exactly.
be really, really beneficial.
It would, because it's just being set up now, right? So if I started out, if I had that package to do that, then everything could start out looking really professional instead of do the best I can, which is not
Hmm.
going to be that level, right? And then when it starts making money, then upgrade. I just feel like it would be so much better to start it out at that higher professional level of content. And like I said, the photos really make a huge difference in how it looks, especially for a course like that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So how do you envision your brand imagery with this launch? Like, how do you actually see it?
Well, that's that one is one of those I've been trying to kind of sift through, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do on my own with what I could do, right? At first, I figured just as minimal photography and the stock shots that I can use from the internet, your Shutterstock and those places, because those are, they give me a little bit more diversity. I can get the kids learning from those areas. It's something, right? It's not as
Hmm.
custom. And then, of course, for me, there should be a couple of pictures at least of me to put on some of the paperwork and the
The
brochures and stuff
marketing,
like that.
yeah, marketing material.
Right. And so right now I have the headshot I have from you. And that's about it. So I feel like that could definitely use some work. There needs to be a few more pictures, ideally some where it's not just a headshot in a business suit
Yeah,
for a course like that, right?
yeah. And there's also graphics too, because you would probably need some graphics for the materials, the training materials, besides just, photography.
Exactly. So, like you said, it's one of those things. If I have to go the route, it was right at that point when I got the email of your contest.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
well, okay, right. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to put whatever I can together, and that just has to be good enough because otherwise it's never going to happen, right? So then when I saw the contest, I'm like, oh, that would be so perfect. It would just start everything that way, right?
So what kind of research have you done to develop this product and service that you're offering?
Well, 8 years of experience.
Yeah, that too.
So that helps. I've researched. So going through the 8 years, I've researched innumerable quantities of curriculum. I mean, I've trialed, I don't even know how many. And then I've talked to other homeschoolers or other parents trying. With the coffee date research, interestingly enough, that helped a whole bunch with personalities and learning types when I was going through that to kind of match the curriculum better. So I have done thousands of hours of research as to how to make the curriculum as condensed as possible, right? And then once you know you've met the standards, then you can bring in all of the extra stuff that the individual kid is interested in, right? And that was my goal, because it's so easy when you're starting to look through these mountains of curriculum and all of these options to get caught up in, well, oh, that sounds good, I should add that, or I should do that. But really, when you start researching it and look at the standards, look at what's required, go through the testing requirements, if you can pare it all down to the very minimal bare essentials so that they said that transition, right? If they say, hey, I want to go to public school this year, they can just go and it would be seamless, right? There'd be a few things they may be missing, but for the most part, they're still taking the state tests. They're still doing all of those things. So
Yeah.
right, that, hey, they're good to go. And all of the research it took to get to that point, like I found a lot of the curriculum would say, oh, we include everything. And then as part of the charter homeschool that we do, they give you a list of standards. And I said, well, can you tell me if you meet these standards? And 80% of them would say, well, we just meet them. They couldn't tell me what part of the curriculum met it. They couldn't tell me
Huh.
if the kid was doing poorly in something. I would ask, well, what standard is that? So I could go get extra material to help them learn. And they could not tell me. And that even goes for bigger programs too
Oh,
that
wow.
say they need everything. So I have lists for all of the grades where I was able to find what curriculum would actually state the standards that they were actually meeting. And then when they're doing poorly in an area, what that allows is you do your shorter version, but say it's a difficult concept for them, right? Now you have the standard and requirement you can look up through different sources and say, okay, we're going to focus on that area. So maybe it takes a little bit longer to get through that one. So I
Yeah.
have all of the research from all the way from TK all the way up through sixth grade of all of the different curriculums, all the different standards that they met, different ways to find extra for those areas. So there's a lot there that I can put into the course and that would solve all of those time consuming parts for all of those grades, at least through sixth grade, which is why my focus is
Okay.
TK through sixth.
6. Okay.
And then, right, eventually I'll expand that out seventh, eighth, and ninth, and then or seventh and eighth. And then at high school, that starts a whole different level of stuff that I will probably stay out of because you need to qualify and be part of things so that it qualifies for colleges and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
how is your methodology a little bit different as far as how you teach? Is there
Well, I cater to the attention span of the child and I pull out the extras because that's all stuff that people can add in and adapt as they need to. But and I figured out which reading programs and stuff seem to be the most broadly successful, right? So when you're doing the early years. But for example, a lot of the curriculums will add writing into everything. So when you're homeschooling or even in regular school, getting kids to write, especially handwritten stuff, is very difficult in a lot of cases. You have a few that are willing to do it, right? But
Yeah.
for the most part, you need to know if they know the material, not if they know how to write. That's a different battle area you deal with at a different time, right?
Yeah.
So the way my methodology is everything is very segmented. So when you're doing science, you're not testing if they can write, you're testing if they know the scientific concepts that you're teaching, right? So that's all condensed down into 20-minute increments, is what I found the
Oh,
optimum
wow.
attention span is, right? And then you figure out very clearly if it's a concept, what the concept name is, so that if they're having difficulty with it, you can extend it out for a few more 20-minute periods. But really, if you get over that, the attention span is just not there to learn in a lot of cases. I mean, I'm sure there are definitely exceptions. But that's part of that condensed down. So when you're doing like math, instead of having them write out all of these little details, some of the kids are great at just doing it in their head. And as long as they're getting the answers right and they have the concept and they can pass the tests, right, then you're good. You can meet that standard. Let's move on to some other area that may take longer, like learning multiplication tables, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're not dealing with this battle in every subject of, well, you have to write this paragraph or you have to write this sentence. You're just dealing with that subject. So, like with grammar and stuff, that is actually separate from writing. And that has helped so much because then you're not, at some point you integrate it. In sixth grade is where you start kind of integrating them to where they do their own editing and stuff too.
Mhm.
But you're not dealing with that battle during every single little thing. If they're not a writer and you're still trying to get through spelling, have them spell it on the board. You have the list of words. It doesn't matter whether they write it or spell it. And then you have penmanship and writing is its own separate little thing, right? So that they know when they're done with it, I'm done, right? Kind of like
Right.
math. You're not
Yeah.
integrating math into every little detail. Let's focus on learning the times tables, then we'll learn the other concept. And that way you can also, that's why it's so efficient, is if they get a concept, you can move on really quick, right? You're not holding them up from moving on. But because it's segmented that way, if they're having difficulty with it, then you can start bringing that in as a 5-minute concept, like the multiplication tables,
Oh,
because
okay.
otherwise the attention span, right? So 5 minutes every day of that and the 20 minutes of math so that you're still moving ahead in the other year's concepts, the school year's concepts.
That's really
But
cool. So
yeah,
you actually have it really really well thought out as far as is the attention span and how they're going to absorb that information, but there is
exactly.
repetition in it, which makes it a little bit better, obviously.
Right. And the repetition is to the point where it's adapted to the child, right? If they
Mhm.
can get it, 5 or 6 times in a row, then they don't need to keep repeating that part of it, unless it's like handwriting, which is that's a continuous thing. So it's constantly repetitive. It's a 15-minute subject in and of itself, where you
Yeah.
just focused on let's get the handwriting and penmanship down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it sounds all exciting, and I know you had recently kind of launched last year or so another
Yes.
product that's under your business as well, and it's a coffee date game, which I personally helped her with a little bit. So I'm excited to see all that come together as well. And where can people find you? I know you said that in the beginning when we first started talking, but where can people find you?
Right now, just on Facebook, if you search for Shasta Palmer, I have Gina's headshot of me up there. And that's the best place to find me. Is you can just send me a message on Facebook, and then eventually I will have it listed under 2 Hour Homeschooler, but that will also be listed on my page under Shasta Palmer on Facebook. So
Okay.
that's my main account, and then eventually it'll branch out to the other ones like Instagram.
Awesome. And so your launch is coming March 1st, you said.
That was the goal, to do the pre-launch, though at this rate there have been some things delayed, so I may end up being April because of that. I do have to still get some of the branding and stuff dealt with one
Yeah.
way or another.
Yeah, one way.
um,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm thinking April 1st will probably be the smaller pre-launch for the course, to make sure that there's enough interest to continue with the development.
And the
Um,
course is called
2 Hour Homeschooler.
2 Hour Homeschooler. Okay. I'm gonna write that down. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Shasta. It was so lovely to hear a little bit more about the concept and your business and your launch. And if you are watching this right now as a viewer, vote for Shasta. I will say that with all of my interviewers, but still vote for Shasta. All right. Well, thank you so much and share the word and good luck with everything.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity.